right, you know what time it is? It's time for the Power Hour, and today we're going to be discussing men's health. And joining me today is no stranger to the show. If you watch the show, you've seen her many, many times before. Ladies and gentlemen, Nurse Coach KIYA Benet.
Hello.
KIYA, how are you?
I am amazing. I'm doing really good. So happy to be here. How about you? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. Still on my journey to better health, better life, better living. So that
Absolutely.
that's a journey that I'll never stop. You
Absolutely.
know,
Yeah,
you
you're worth
know. Yeah, I dropped a few pounds, dropped about maybe four or 5 pounds. Yeah.
and that's
Um,
a huge difference. I wish I had a little fat in here because I have a little glob of fat. You would
really,
you would see what that looks like next time I'll bring
we
it.
we have to do that. We
Mm,
have to show them what it looks like inside of
absolutely.
your body. Yeah. So we are talking about men's health now. What are some common health concerns that specifically affect men?
Well, like the rest of America, heart disease is the number one killer of men. When we talk specifically about men, of course, you guys have an organ we don't have as women, which is the prostate gland, and that can become cancerous. That's the second leading cause of death in men in the United States right now.
Right. Right. Now, when we talk about men's health, I don't want you know fellas to think that we're just targeting them because there are some men who really they do go out there and get their annual checkups,
Yeah.
and we have some health nuts out there who hit the gym and everything. So, but we're talking about people who were like myself, who which I was afraid to go get a checkup, and one of my fears was I just didn't want them to find something wrong, and I didn't want to hear any bad news, and I didn't want to. But in my case, thank goodness, thank God, it was almost too late. It was just about too late when I found out. Yeah, when I found out what was going on with me with the high blood pressure, I had a heart attack, and everything like that. So I feel like I have to spread the word.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm impelled, to compelled rather to spread the word of
Absolutely. And
of,
I'm
of
proud of you because it takes a lot of courage and boldness to say, I was afraid. I was
yeah,
scared they would say something about my
yeah,
health that I possibly could not fix or handle. So that's kudos to you. And a lot of men feel like you. A lot of men feel afraid of hearing the words they don't want to hear.
yeah,
But I like to say, just because you ignore a problem doesn't mean it's going to go away. So even though you're afraid, sometimes the best thing to do is to say, hey, I'm scared to death. I spoke to a gentleman just yesterday. He has a doctor's appointment coming up next week, Thursday. And he said those exact words, KIYA, I'm scared. And I was so proud of him. That gives
yeah.
me an opportunity to pray for him, to encourage him. His wife is, of course, encouraging him and praying for him. But to say those words, it requires a lot of strength, especially for men who are,
Yeah.
so, you guys don't want to show up as weak, as I need anything. But one of the biggest problems with men, and let's be compassionate and real gentle, because you men, speaking to you, Larry, and my amazing, wonderful husband, of course, you guys are self sacrificial. You're the type of men that take care of your family by any means necessary, do everything you can to take care of the wife and the children, and you oftentimes neglect yourself.
Right. Right.
So aside of the fear, there's also this component of I have to do this and this and this and this, and the health becomes a lower priority on the totem pole in your mind. Not that it's not important to you, or you can speak to that, Larry. I don't think your health was not important to you. You just were busy doing other more important things in your mind. Am I
Right.
right?
You're right. I didn't put health here. Everything else was above it. I mean, because sometimes we feel like invincible. We feel like, oh, it's not going to happen to me. You know
That's
what I mean? Heart attack? What? Not me. I don't feel anything. I feel fine. But in all actuality, if you really get to know your body and pay attention to your body, you'll feel when something isn't right. The little pain you get every once in a while, a little pinch here and there. You're like, oh, what was that? Oh, it's probably something I ate. 9 times out of 10, it's something small that's going to eventually turn into something bigger.
absolutely.
So paying attention to your body is very, very important. Now, how does age impact men's health, and what are some of the health issues that become more prevalent with age?
With age, when you talk about age, you're talking about when we're getting into our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, we're going
Right.
up that ladder. Um, some of the different issues that come is the results of the things we've done when we were 20 and 19 and 18 and when we felt invincible. So a lot of young men come into the world, go to college, and they're binge drinking. They
Right.
love the alcohol. They love the smoking. It looks cool. So a lot of the times what happens later in life is just catch up. It's not a matter of it just started. You know what I mean? So
Right.
oftentimes people they think, well, I'm 40, I'm 50, I don't want my testosterone levels to go down. What can I do now? It was what you were supposed to be doing when you were 20,
Yeah.
really. You
Yeah.
understand? So we can of course change the trajectory of things. However, it takes a lot more energy, a lot more effort. So some of the things that we do, men do, it's just excessive drinking, excessive smoking, excessive trying to be cool, focusing on the career instead of focusing on their health, eating whatever. If it's put before me, my grandpa used to say that. He said, if you put it before me, I'm going to eat it. Not a good way of being, not a
Right.
very mindful way of eating. So it's eating the poor standard American diet that contributes to the poor health in the future. And so to get to that health, what do we get to in our 40s and 50s? Heart problems.
Yeah.
But where did the heart problems come? It didn't start as heart problems. The heart is very forgiving and patient with us. It started with the high blood pressure
Yeah.
that if you didn't go and see your doctor, you didn't even know you had. It started with the insulin resistance. If you didn't go to the doctor again to get that blood test called the A1C, you didn't even know you had insulin resistance. And it just cycles and spirals out of control until you're 40 and 50, and the doctor says your heart is failing, your kidneys are failing, your cancer is coming. There's all kinds of different things that happen as a result of our negligent behavior early in life. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. And the beautiful thing about your body is that you can turn it around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so but what we don't want to happen is we don't want to let it go too far unchecked. If it goes too far unchecked, then you get in the red. You know what I mean? You end up in the red zone where it's gonna be some struggles getting you back to where you need to be. Now, can you discuss the importance of regular screenings and checkups for men?
Oh, yes, it's absolutely necessary. When you have an annual physical, your doctor, your primary care physician will take care of all of that. You don't even have to think about it. They're going to do the blood tests. They're going to draw everything that they're supposed to. They're going to check you, ask you the questions they need to ask you. As long as you have a PCP in America, they are going to do their job when it comes to that because insurance is very hard on them to make sure that they are screening to prevent these complications in the future.
Right. Let's get into some dietary things we can do to turn some things around.
Yeah.
What's the start? What can we do for someone who have not been to the doctor yet and they're contemplating, oh, I don't want to hear, I feel this pain in my side, but I don't want to get it checked because I don't want to know what it is. Speak to that first, and then we'll get into the dietary.
So we're going to speak to the person who's afraid.
Afraid.
Okay. Okay. This is how I would handle one of my clients who's afraid. I would just get to the heart of it. I ask them 1,001 questions till we get to the root of that fear. What are you afraid of? Why are you afraid? It could be related to a family history. Oh, when my daddy had that pain in the side, he died. It could be linked to something you heard on TV. But at the end of the day, this fear needs to be explored and it needs to be eradicated. Fear is no bueno if it doesn't lead us or motivate us in the right direction. So, what's most important is to love yourself. If you can't do that well, because not all of us really know how to love ourselves, let's be honest about that,
Right.
Larry.
Right.
Love your family. If you have anybody that really loves you, whether it's your mother, whether it's your father, a wife, if you have a wife, if it's your children, love them enough to give them a fighting chance. Sorry, to give them a fighting chance to have you for the duration of their lives, or at least most of the duration of their lives.
Right.
So you have to think, why am I afraid? And what is at the other side of this fear? If I explore what it is and I find out what it is, how is that going to hurt me? How is that going to help me? One thing we know as medical professionals is if you know, we know what we need to do. And even if we don't know what we need to do, we have an idea of the direction we need to go, the testings, the surgeries, excuse me, the vitamins or the supplements or the changes that you need to make. It is very typical and common for people, men and women alike, to have fear of the unknown. However, on the other side of that fear is a lot of heartbreak if we find out what it is and it can be taken care of, it can be destroyed or removed, right? We can prevent our family members from suffering that lifelong journey of pain of not having you here.
Right.
See, the issue is a lot of the people that are dead right now from heart disease, a heart attack, a stroke, they didn't have to be. That's the painful part. Even I myself, when I think about certain family members, like, man, he could have still been here.
Yeah.
She could have still been here. And the longing for that person that never goes away. Death does not destroy the desire for another human being, right?
Right.
As long as we live, we remember our family members and we miss them terribly.
Yeah.
So there is the fear of, I don't want to find out. But on the other side of that, there's so many people that can be impacted and hurt, including yourself.
Yeah.
You have to think, the person has to think about their God-given purpose on this earth. Why not finish your race instead of allowing a fear of a condition to prevent you from finishing your race?
Right.
It's not wise. It's not wise.
Yeah.
So I would hold that person's hand. I would have a nice, beautiful, compassionate, empathetic conversation with them and help them to see that there's light at the end of the tunnel. They don't have to walk the journey alone. That's for sure. They'll have a whole medical team. They can have a nurse coach like myself or someone else walk that journey with them. And it will be all right. Everything will be all right.
And you know, sometimes, a lot of times, you may feel something and go to the doctor and it's nothing. You know, you'll get there and it's like, oh, well, it's just this or that. And you may not have to take anything. You may be in perfect health. You don't know until you find out. So,
my thing is, when it comes to that, what you're saying, right? What is making you feel like you have something? So I'm saying that to say this. I remember the times when I myself was afraid to go to the doctor. It was generally during times when I knew I wasn't living right.
Yeah.
It was during those times when I was not exercising like I knew I was supposed to. I'm a nurse, for God's sakes. I know what I'm supposed to do. And
Right.
how many of us actually get ourselves ready to go to the doctor? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not going to the doctor yet. I'm not scheduling that appointment because I don't want her to tell me my blood pressure is high because I know how I've been living.
Yeah.
Well, here's the good news. The doctor is not the end all be all. The doctor is not there to judge us, not to judge you, not to determine that, oh, you're such a bad person because you're not taking care of yourself. The doctor is your partner in health. So instead of looking at them with a fear, they're going to see and know that I'm not taking care of myself. See them as a partner. They're here to help me and say, hey, you know, you got to do some tweaking. And most of the times men know the tweaking they need to do. They just have a hard time doing it.
Right. How do you feel about diagnosing yourself via internet or Google? You're looking up, oh, I got a chest pain. Let me Google and see what that is. And it gives you 1,000.
You know, I'm going to speak to that with this story. I'm a nurse and I'm a nurse. And as a nursing student, all of my peers and I had every condition in the book. Okay. We learned about a disease. We were like, oh, I think I saw a rash. It's common to think you have everything, but it's definitely not true. Like you were saying, it's not true. So it's best not to be an internet doctor.
Right. Dr. Google, right?
It's best to go face another human being hand in hand. Let them check, let them see, let them take the blood, and let's walk this journey together. Have a friend on the phone when the results come in.
Right.
Cry if you need to cry. Scream if you need to scream. And I know we're talking to men, but men need to cry sometimes too.
Yeah, we
Men
got to
are
release that.
yeah.
Yeah, we got to release that pressure sometimes. I mean, you know, yeah. So let's talk about dietary things we can do to sustain or prevent some illnesses from happening. You and I talked about smoothies,
Yeah.
you know, and just changing your diet. My thing is, if you take, let's just say, if you're a big soda drinker, juice drinker, whatever it is, if you pull that from your daily dietary, whatever it is you're doing, and replace it with a smoothie, that's a huge step. That can change a few things.
It's a huge step, and it's necessary.
Yeah.
But everything starts here. Everything starts here. So, you know, it's difficult to say, you need to do this, you need to do that.
Right.
It starts here. You know, there's a reason, there's a barrier to why people don't do it. Everybody knows what to do for the most part.
For the most part, yeah.
All the nitty-gritty details, but most of the time we know what we're supposed to do. The question is, why don't we do it? And that takes a little unpacking. That takes a little time. It takes more than a 5-minute, 15-minute doctor visit, to be honest with you.
Right.
But as far as dietary, this is the simple answer: whole foods. I am whole food plant-based, so I do not eat any meat products. However, if you do eat meat products, that's fine. Organic is the way to go. Grass-fed is the way to go. As close to the original way that God intended for animals to eat. You want to eat animals that eat like that.
Right.
You want to eat eggs that eat, or chickens that hatched eggs that ate pasture, you know, grass and bugs and things they're supposed to eat.
Right.
So whole foods is the number one way to go when it comes to trying to turn your diet around. And that's not easy. I have to preface that with this and say, people are busy.
Yeah.
People are busy. I take time out of my day to cook a pot of beans. It takes about 4 or 5 hours to cook that pot of beans, you know?
Yeah.
I get that people are busy. So Whole Foods has an amazing boxed version of cooked beans. That's a great alternative if you don't have time to cook a pot of beans. And why am I mentioning beans? Beans are excellent for your heart health, for your body. Tons of fiber, tons of nutrients in there. It's going to keep you regular. Regularity is important.
Very important.
Regularity. So, yeah. So as far as diet goes, is whole foods diet, eat everything fresh as possible, the way God intended for us to eat.
Right. And like you said, getting it up here, we were so programmed as children to eat whatever it is we were brought up on, whatever it is we were used to, that we were surrounded by. Teenagers, you go down to the pizza shop, you do this, you do that. I mean, and we don't know because some of us wasn't taught how to eat properly coming up. We just ate what was there, what tastes good.
You are right.
Yeah, and you don't think about getting older when you're young. You don't think about, you know, now these kids are, you're an old head or whatever the case may be, but one day you're going to get there.
Right.
Don't speak like it's not going to happen to you. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to get older. And when you do, prayerfully, you won't discover any complications, but it can happen.
It can happen.
You know, so this, we bring in this program here to just, you know, let people know that be mindful of what you eat. Because what you eat now, it can definitely affect you in the long run.
And we have to be fair. We have to be understanding, like you mentioned, environment. You and I are New Yorkers. This is a good shout out for us to say. New Yorkers on this here, right?
That's right.
Okay. And pizza shop, you know, that was our thing. Why was that our thing, Larry? Every corner had a pizza shop.
Every corner.
If you didn't go to the pizza shop, you went to the corner store. We're going to say it like we say it in New York. You went to the corner store, and you went and got you a hero. What is a hero? Processed food.
Yep.
And they sprinkled their little lettuce on top, and you felt healthy.
Oh, good. I got lettuce and tomatoes, right?
You got your quart of water. And you was, listen, I'm the king of the jungle, baby.
Yeah, and it was so good. Don't get me wrong, it was so good, wasn't it?
That smoked turkey.
Man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I remember getting the pastrami in cheese, and they made it nice and warm. They put mustard on it. Oh, yeah. Forget
back in the day. Let's keep that back there, Larry. Let's not go back to New York and do
that.
Yeah,
because The more I think about it, the more I want to prescribe.
No, we are growing up. But
Yeah,
I mentioned that to say your environment has a big role to play in how you eat and what you eat.
yeah.
And as we get older, and one of my favorite verses, when I was a child, right? I did childish things. Okay, we're grown now. We
Now
got
you
to
got
put
to put them
away
away.
those childish things. At
Yeah,
the same time, we have to be compassionate to our younger selves. We did not know. And even when we did know, it was hard to get through that wall of what we experienced between what we experienced and where we wanted to go. It's not easy. It takes time. It's a process. And
yeah,
we will get there together. I think we're in our health era. I haven't learned about health as much now as, ever in my life. When I was a kid, my family and I, we didn't sit around the table talking about health.
no, 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 no.
We do that now at my table in my home. This is new.
Right.
So, fellas, my brothers, whoever's listening, be gentle on yourself, compassionate to yourself, and definitely partner with your doctors and a nurse coach like myself if necessary so you can get where you want to be
Yeah,
healthy and live a long and strong life.
yeah, yeah. You don't want to wake up in pain, and that was one of the things I used to do. I used to wake up in pain.
Mm.
I mean, I would get out of the bed and everything would hurt, and not knowing, I would chalk it up as, oh, I'm getting older. Oh, this is what it's like getting old. But no, you're not supposed to be in pain. I don't care how old you are. You're not supposed to be in pain. So I started taking the necessary steps and found out it was just inflammation I had all in my body. You know what I mean? Once I got rid of that, I jump out of the bed like a jack in a box. you know, I'm up, I'm going, I'm in the shower, and I'm full of energy. You
Bing.
know, yeah. So that's it. So you don't have to go through whatever it is you're going through, if you're going through anything. And like we said, get that checkup. You never know. Nothing may be wrong, but just get it. That way you know where you are, and then you can take the necessary steps to keep you where you are.
Absolutely. Beautiful
Yeah.
encouragement.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Once again, we're gonna pick this up again next week. I think it's really
Okay,
important. I have lots more, and I'm gonna put this out there. If you got any questions, guys, drop them in the comment section, and
great
we'll answer those questions for you. All right, Nurse Kaya, thank you so much again. We'll see you next week. You're watching the Power Hour right here on Soul TV.